Yeah, I'm just on my way back from visiting my friend Michael at Zamora. Closest thing to a visual paradise that you could expect, short of going out to somewhere on the coast and seeing a white beach and a blue sea and all of those stereotypical things. But I'm on my way back now. We are presently involved in keeping support to Justine. In case you are not familiar with the case of Justine, was a kid that we found working in the market below the big supermarket Al Taurus in Taliban, and apparently she had just allowing for tricycle. She had a cyst on her face since birth, a huge thing. Think of it the size of a golf ball, somewhere between a golf ball and a tennis ball, and you'll have it. Has gone through brutal bullying and teasing. I think she's 19 years old, very young, 19 years old, on account of being a Filipina and absolutely tiny. So the first thing to do was to get the cysts removed. We did that with the help of the Chuchi Foundation, and we shared the costs on that. They paid for the hotel, the hospital, and part of the surgeon's bill. We paid a certain amount, and we paid the. Sorry, I'm looking now. This is a new construction that they're on right now, pretty extensive as well. They're building new roads. I don't know whether you can see that. But anyway, back to Justine. So she had the first part of the surgery, which was the removal of the cyst, and then she had to wait until a year had passed so that they would know if there were any complications arising from the removal of the cyst. Now, here we are a year later, and once again, thanks to the wonderful Chuchi Foundation, we are able to get her to Manila. Manila, she's gone to the hospital there. So if you're following the videos, then you'll know all the details about that. What I really wanted to talk about was an effort to explain to you what it means to be in a hospital here, right? I know that in a hospital in the UK, in the US, when you go into hospital, the hospital takes care of everything, but it's not the same here. Now, in the UK, or let's say the Western world, when you go into a hospital, they take care of. I mean, the food is going to be crap. We all know that, but there'll be visiting hours so that you don't get in the way. You don't get in the way of their hospitalization, which means food, which means everything, which means whenever the doctor says put her on 10 cc's of this or 5 cc's of that, the nurse goes down to the pharmacy and she gets the stuff, and she comes back and she puts it on the drip, and everything is taken care of. Maybe you get a bill at the end of it, but irrespective of whether it's free or not, it's all taken care of. In the Philippines, not so. Here, and what made me want to talk about this in particular is because I realized that if you come out to the Philippines, many people that I know, that I've become friends with, and who have concerns about hospital and whether a hospital is good or not, I used to dismiss this because I've had a very good life as far as being healthy goes. I've been blessed over and over, and I haven't had any serious hospitalization in my life. Never collapsed and be taken in. I've never had emergencies or anything like this. I've been fortunate, and I'm blessed for that, thank the Lord. But so I tend not to think about whether treatment for this or for that is there. And I know people who have stents in the heart, have had issues with cancer, have had open heart surgery, have all of these kinds of things. And we recently had Larry, who stayed with us, Larry Haller, I think his name was, I'm sorry, it's a lot of names to remember. He came and had some issues here, went into hospital. It was very difficult. Now, but why is it difficult here in ways which are not so in the West? Here, you cannot just go into a hospital alone. You must have backup. What does the backup do? Well, in the case of Justine, we had 2 or 3 of our students who are on our education support program who are living in Tagbilaran, which is where the hospital was that Justine went into last year. Now, all of the tests are all done up front, so we had to trip her several times. We had to take her out to sorry, I'm trying to drive as well, okay? We had to take her up to Tagbilaran to see doctors. Now, what's so difficult about that? You make an appointment, you turn up at the appointment, and you go in and you see him, and you're out in half an hour. Not so. Here, everything is done on a walk-in basis. First come, first served. Now, I'm going to make a guess as to why that should be. Because Filipinos do not see appointments in the same way that Westerners do. It's a fact. Now, if I make an appointment, I will be there. And in many cases, in many areas of life, many walks of life, as they would say, if you make an appointment and then you fail to show up for that appointment without giving, say, 24 hours notice, you are expected to pay for that. Here, time has shown that no one keeps appointments. They may arrive on time. It's very unlikely. That's why they have a thing called Filipino time. So everything is on a walk-in basis. So our students who helped with Justine's appointments were there after getting up. Angel, I think, made the first appointments to make sure that we would be in when we arrived there. She was up at, I think, 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the hospital, to wait in line for heaven knows how long. The surgeon or the doctor in question may not have arrived until 8 or 9 or 10. Possibly the assistant would be there at 8, and then she would be dealing with things on a walk-in, first come first served basis. So Angel did the waiting. Now when we had tests, they would be done on prescription, and we would take that and present it to the hospital where they were doing the CT test. So she went in, Justine went in and had the scans, and you may remember, if you've been watching the videos for a while, certainly 18 months ago, you will know that at that same time we had that poor man that we called the Elephant Man, because he had a growth on his face that was reminiscent of the movie Elephant Man. He died some weeks later. It's one of those that we didn't win. Fortunately, we did win with Justine. When she finally went in, we had a shift of our students working in shifts to be with her all the time. How do they do that? Do they have a bed next to the patient? No, they don't. They have a chair and the person that is there will either lie in the bed with the patient, or they will sit on a chair and rest their head in their arms on the foot of the bed. It's not easy. Now, if the doctor comes in and says, may give a prescription, this is part of the hospital treatment, gives a prescription, and there's a list of drugs on there which have to be met. The hospital does not provide those. Just looking at the riders that pass me, I'm waiting for them to come. And the prescription is handed to the support, whoever is there and has been there for 24 hours with the patient. The patient then has to go to the pharmacy in the hospital, which may or may not have the prescription drug available. And if not, then that person will have to go outside, find a pharmacy that can fill that, and then bring it back, hand it to the nurse who will plug it into the drip, or however they are actually giving that drug. Now, here's the thing. When I went there, it's a shock to the system. You cannot believe that this is how it's done. And Beth sails through all of this because she worked for a hospital, even in the accounting billing department. She worked there for, I think, 7 or 8 years, but she was there for longer because she was a working student there. So she knows how to navigate this system. When we got there, we took Justine in. Then, to my amazement, we're talking about where can we get the blood platelets. Well, what do we need? Well, we need 3 bags. I'm thinking, how the heck are we going to get those? It doesn't faze Beth at all. She goes and she talks to people. What she'll say, what is your blood type? And she does that until she finds someone who has the blood type that's needed, and then she asks them, are you on drugs? She has her qualifying questions. Are you this? Are you that? Are you ready? Are you able? Are you willing to give blood? Now, we tried the usual saviors in these situations is the security guards, because the security guards there, they're usually, hopefully not on drugs. I mean of the recreational kind, because they will have drug tests, but they will give that, and they need to be paid. So you pay for blood. It's a situation which is very difficult for a Westerner to understand. Well, you can't just go, I'm thinking, allowing logic to get in the way of a good story, you can't just go up to someone and say, excuse me, would you like to give blood, and I'll pay you, and they'll negotiate how much they want. And the security guards are familiar with this and do this, and it's one of the perks. People in America, people in Britain who are short and they're unemployed will sell their blood, so it's not an unknown thing. But here it's just strange to have someone in hospital and have to work out how much blood they need and where you're going to get it. Then the food, they bring the food in. If the food is lousy, which hospital food usually is lousy, and anyway, the supporter, the support system, whoever is lying there on the bed with them as their support, also has to eat. They have to go out, they have to bring food in, they have to rest. So we had people coming in shifts. That was just on that. Once she came out, she had to be available for observation. We put her into our boarding house, our dorm, and the students that are there, they bond, Filipinas, they bond like sisters in about 20 minutes, and they took care of her. All of this had to be done, had to be paid for. It's just not something that a foreigner can easily process, but that's the way that it is. and it's difficult to explain to anyone how this will happen. How will it all go? But it does. Now that Justine is in Manila, now that she's in Manila, all of this is falling on Philoma. Philoma will be with her 24 hours a day. We'll have to do all the errands, food, drugs, all of that, and then back to wherever they're staying. Well, we have them in a boarding house with other students, other kids, and as I say, a few minutes and sorry, just driving for a moment. Within a few minutes they'll be taking care, and she will be very well cared for. But one of our supporters said, but it's very small, it's not convenient, there's no AC. We don't have AC in our house. We have fans. Like I said, it's not easy to think about how this can be happening. Now, a few years ago, we actually had someone in hospital who had been in a very bad accident. Johnny, I think it was. Now that I think about it, I think it was Johnny. And Johnny had been in an accident and his legs were in a pretty bad way. Multiple pins had been put in and we were able to help out there. Now, while we were there, when we walked in, we had a lot on our plate at the time. Johnny was just one of many that we were helping and houses that we were building. But we saw a Western woman, a white woman, who was in a bed in the hallway. We didn't find out what her circumstances were, but I was thinking, after all that's been happening with Justine and what we're going through and how we're trying to get everything organized, like for instance, when Justine and Philoma got on the plane, the lady who was going to give them accommodation said, sorry, can't do it. And so we had a mad scramble then to find them accommodation, and of course we did do it. But I wondered in retrospect how that woman got along, and it made me think, boy, if you come out here as a foreigner and you do come out alone and you do have health issues, then you better have a plan, because if you don't know how to navigate the system, it's going to be a trouble. It's going to be a struggle, not a trouble. It's going to be a struggle, and you're going to have a plan. Okay, sorry, excuse me for a moment. Got traffic building up and I got to get out. Okay, I'm out. So I just had that thought. I thought for myself, I'm a foreigner here. I have all the support that I could get. Family, Beth, friends, students who would help. I wouldn't have to say or do anything for myself. There'd be somebody there all the time. You need a plan. And that was my message. Thanks for looking in. Bye for now. And thanks to everyone who has been a help with Justine, who for me is one of the bravest kids I ever met. Something of a hero in my mind. Bye for now.